And hello, Bison Band. Welcome to today we're going to learn how to be composers. I'm introducing to you the Chrome Labs Song Maker, which is an online application that allows us to compose our own songs using some of the skills that we've learned with Tone Savvy, but being able to do it without necessarily using the music staff. So it removes one kind of step from this, will also give us a lot of flexibility to really create something of our own. Before we do that and before we get really creative with it, I think it's important to demonstrate and learn how to use the features so that you're familiar with that first. And that's the intention of this week's assignment. So what we're going to do is I want you to reproduce exactly the song that I'm going to create. And then I'm going to show you how to save and upload it. Now, there is a change in the settings that I'm going to want you to do first. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that. When I move over here to settings, which is a little cogwheel, and I'm going to click that, what we're going to adjust here is the range, which is currently set here at 2 octaves. I'm going to change that to 3. Everything else we're going to go ahead and leave as is. Some of these settings were going to be explained or are explained in a video that I showed earlier in class. That's a tutorial on this and gets a little bit more in depth on what these each do. But 3 octaves is going to give us more notes that we have access to for this. And it's going to allow us to put in different elements of a song. So we're going to have room for a melody, a harmony, a bass, and a rhythm. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to put in each of those. I'm going to hit the check to save that. Now, the first element that I'm going to be adding in here is going to be the melody. And the melody is the main part of a song. That's actually going to be the first musical element that we start to focus on with this as we create our own compositions. So it's going to be the first thing that I'm going to input into my song today. And the melody here that we're going to use, I'm going to go way back to the beginning of band for many of us. If you started at Hilltop, you played this song. It is Au Clair de la Lune. For students in 7th grade, we returned to that recently with a song called The Moon Turns Dark. Now on our screen here, we have a lighter shaded column, a darker blue column, a lighter shaded column, and a darker blue column. Now, the song Au Clair de la Lune, if I was to look at it on the music staff, is 4 measures long. And on here in Songmaker, we can think of each of these measures or each of these different columns being 1 measure. So the light shaded column here is 1 measure. The darker blue column here is a 2nd measure. Our lighter column here is 3rd measure. Our darker blue column here is a measure. So we have 4 measures to work with here as well. Now you're also going to notice some darker grid lines. We have, if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we have a couple little sections down here. This is where the rhythm is going to go. We're going to ignore this for now. We have a column from here to here before a darker blue line. We're going to put our bass down here with our lowest notes. We have a section here in the middle from darker blue line to darker blue line. That is our 2nd octave, and that is going to be where we're going to put the harmony. And the top section from blue line to the top of our screen, the darker blue line on up, this is going to be the highest sounding notes, and this is where we're going to put the melody into this. And so you'll hear that when I go ahead and put, and I'm going to start clicking here. And as I'm listening to that, I'm thinking that instead of marimba today, I'm going to change this and do this with me. I'm going to change my instrument by clicking the little button down here next to play. I'm going to make this woodwinds today. I'm going to make it a wind instrument. So I'm going to add in this melody. You hear it. It's a different sound now. And if you want to listen to the whole melody, this is Au Clair de la Lune. Now, in our books, these notes are held out. And if I wanted to reproduce that similar sound here in Songmaker, I would fill in the other blocks like this. And that would sound like this. And it automatically repeats when playing. Now, I'm going to take these out, and I'm going to want my melody just to be what you see here, or the beginning of each of those beats. So my melody is going to have some gaps in it, and that's okay. So this is what your melody is going to look like. And when I press play, again, it's going to sound like this. Now, if you need to pause the video here while you input this into your screen, go ahead and do that. Now, I'm going to go on. I am assuming that you have gone ahead and added in this melody. Now, the second part that we're going to add in, or the next element of music that we're going to be studying after melody, is the harmony. And harmony is in a supporting role to melody. So harmony is designed to make our melody sound good and to give our music a little bit of a thicker texture to it as a listener. So I will talk more about different types of harmony, but I'm going to add a harmony that we'll call block chords. And so what I'm going to do is, in my middle section here, I'm going to add in some sounds that go all the way across. And we'll discuss some different ways to do this in coming lessons. But this is what I'm going to ask you to add today. And I want them to go all the way across. And when I hit play for this, you're going to hear there's a lot more substance to this song now. So the harmony is supporting our melody and providing an extra little element that sounds like this. And that's our song with a harmony. Now, in the lowest section, with the lowest sounding notes of our song, we're going to be adding in a bass line. And the bass line is the foundation that everything is built on top of. Typically, our bass line is going to be the lowest sounding notes in a composition. And that's why it's going to be in this first section, which is going to be the lowest sounding notes overall. Now, the bass line that I'm going to put in, and we'll give you some options for when you guys are creating it. I'm feeling like a little bit of jazz today, so I'm going to put a walking bass line into this. And a walking bass line kind of walks up gradually, and then it walks down gradually as it goes. And this is what my walking bass is going to look like. That's going to be my first measure. And then here's going to be my second measure. And I'm intentionally going to leave a gap in here. I just think that's going to sound really neat when I do that. And then I'm going to finish this up, I'm going to do a walk down. And then I'm going to put a fun little rhythm here at the end that's going to give a little sign to the listener that this is the last measure here. So it's gonna be something a little bit different rhythmically that I'm doing. That is why I've got two blocks next to each other. So let's give this a listen now, and I'll have the screen focus so you can see the bass line as it plays. Now I'm going to pause here, and if you need to hit pause on your video and add in your harmony and bass as you see above, go ahead and do that now. And I'm going to start back up, and I'm going to assume that you went ahead and have added in your harmony and your bass exactly as you see. Now, let's talk about adding in some drums or a rhythm to back this up. Now, I'm going to change the sound. It says electronic right now. And what I want to use for this is the drum set feature. So you're going to see like a snare drum with two drumsticks right here. And that's what we're going to use for our drum sounds today. Now, what I'm going to add in is a drum track that's going to have this. This is going to be like a kick drum or like a bass drum down here. And then you have a snare drum sound up here. And I'm going to go ahead and put in another bass drum hit. Let's see. Actually, I want to move this over here like this. And then I'm going to do the same pattern here. And I'm going to do the same pattern here. And then I'm going to change the pattern here in this measure. And what this does is it kind of signals again to the listener that something is different here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I'm going to go ahead and pause that. Now, I'm going to scroll up a little bit so you can see this going through the melody as well. I'm going to hit play again. Check and make sure that yours looks and sounds like mine. Now, if you have finished this up and you have time to spare, there are some options for a bonus assignment that you can do. Let's talk about those in a minute. The first thing is, now that you've got this done, what you're going to do is go ahead over to where it says save. You're going to click here. You're going to click the copy link button right there, and then go to your Google Classroom, open this assignment, and you're going to click the add button. And then in add, you're going to be able to paste this in. And when you paste it, you're then going to be able to hit turn in and send me your composition. Make sure that when you submit it, that your composition exactly matches mine. Now, what you can do is change some of these settings. And when you change these settings, what you're doing, this is for the bonus assignment. You have a tempo slider here. For example, if you wanted to make this a slower, you could make a slower song. You could make a faster song if you wanted to as one of your changes. And our original tempo, of course, was 120. Then the next thing is you can change your instruments. So maybe you wanted to make this a synthesizer and make this, oh, let's say an electronic drum, synth drum. I'm also going to ask you to make some changes to the melody to make it your own. That's one you have to do. But if you wanted to, you can also experiment with your harmony and bass as well as options. So either way, make sure that first you start with an exact recreation of this, save it and submit it. And then if you have time, there are 10 extra bonus points available to you just by making some changes to it. So have fun, enjoy, and I can't wait to hear your compositions.